Well, afternoon everybody. Now, today we're going to have a look at our question 2s, and this is from DEB 2013, so a past mock exam paper. It's a nice little one, our normal rotation question. So as we can see, when we look around, okay, it's got our curves, it's got our bits and pieces here, a little bit of a design in the middle, and this one here, they're not giving us enough information. They're just, well, they are giving us enough, but not to make it easy. We don't know the sizes of the edges. We just know the total distance, so this is a reduction or enlargement question, which is a nice challenge to work on. Okay, so what are we going to do? Well, first of all, let's just have a quick little think. Over here, I'm going to have my elevation there, my plan, and then my new view over here. Okay, just so I know where it's all going to lay out on the page. So I'll start a bit over here. I'll need some space to do this, but we'll deal with that as we come along. Okay, so I'll pop that out of the way for the moment. And let's start getting everything drawn. Now, how big is it? Because it does look like it's a little bit tall. We have 15 and 55, so it's going to be 85 plus this diameter here. Which are we given that? Oh, they are evil. So we're not given that just yet. But again, it looks like it's about something in the region of 60. Okay, so we want to leave a decent bit of space here. This is forcing us to do now is to actually do the center part first. Okay, which is tricky. Anyway, no problem. Off we go. We'll do it over on the side. So what we're going to do with all of these ones is we're basically, step one, we're going to draw the shape at any size. And step two, we're going to adjust to the real size. That's all we really do. And my one little tip for you in this one here is as you do this, make sure it's on camera, that of course is a key skill in these things, any size. As you do this, make sure the any size is reasonably different to the real size. So if I had to take a bit of a guess looking at this one here, I mean that's 55, so I'll call that about 35, 40. So these guys are something in the region of 20 mil, so I'll make them a bit bigger. I'm going to go with 30 mil. All right, let's do a little shape here. So I decided to guess it at 30 mil. There we go. And we know it's a regular hexagon, so it tells us that. So that's fine. So we can just use this guy here to send those out. Just a small tip, you can keep measuring it if you like. It's a little bit more accurate to do this because if you made a mess of the first measurement, it's 29 or 31, you're going to make a mess of all the other ones, and actually that's kind of okay because we're guessing the size anyway. So there we go. Just put those arcs in there and there while we're up at about. Now we'll bring that across. And off we go. We'll get that in another moment. Now, this is all fine as a construction when you're doing it. I'm just going to take a little second and heavy it in because it might be easier for you guys to see as we go along. Now, when you're doing these, you don't actually have to do the entire drawing, but it's not always clear at a glance what part of the drawing you need to do. So if in doubt, just do the whole shape. You might spot along the way that maybe all you actually need is the length of one of these edges. Okay, and we have a little equilateral triangle that comes up from the top here. So what we can do is, I think I'm going to bring these up here, like that. How are we going to get the size of that? I think we're just going to measure the center. There's no point in getting too complicated about it. You may see a more elegant way to do it, in which case, fabulous. That'll do for me for now. Okay, there we go. Now, how do we do on size? Lovely, nice and different. Okay, so this thing, total measurement on my one there is just short of 80 mil, so this will be nice and distinct. So the total measurement we should be getting is 55. So we'll pop that in there. We'll just do a little bit of a line across here. All right, So just, again, I'll just put this as a sketch on the outside of it for you. That's 55 millimeters to this line right here. Okay, let's reduce it. Now, stop for a little second. We can reduce it from anywhere, but let's just see, is there an obvious way to bring it down? Sometimes we can pick a different corner. So what we need to do, excuse me for a second while I get the paper, try to escape, is let's see what point we can locate on this. All right, and we can actually locate, we can't really locate our center line as easily. This is a nice one to make us think. So have a look. Is there any point in this we can begin to figure out where it is? And there's not at a glance. So what this is now telling me, this is trickier than it looks, is we're going to draw this first, because once this exists, we go out 15, we go out 15, we go down 15, and the whole thing comes in place. The good news is it doesn't matter which point we pick, because if I could find that point easily, I'd shrink to that point. Now, I think I'm just going to use this point, because again, there's no point in overthinking it. We just pick one and get going. So this point here, all right, so as things shrink down, they come down along this line. So it shrinks, 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 shrinks. Okay, this point is fixed. Got to fix something. So now the top of the triangle ends up there. Okay, let's bring one or two other ones in, because again, you might see a point where you can build the shape up, you might not. It doesn't really matter, because we'll get it eventually. So there we go, let's bring this point down as well. Well, actually, that's kind of nice, isn't it? Because these guys all just shrink along this line. So that one ends up being there. And I suspect I could begin to redraw quite a lot of this at this stage, because it still is a triangle. So we bring these guys down, and that is going to be our shape there. All right, which means that this is where my line is going to be. We can drop that down from there. So that's now an edge. At this stage, I've got my width there. Let's fire these off nice and quickly. This is going to come down along this line, so this is going to end up being here. Remember, it's still the same shape. So what we'll figure out, I think I'm just going to go across this way. And we'll find it there. There we have it. So this is a nice, this is about as tricky as I've seen them get on these reduction enlargements. So this shape here, I just shaded it in green so you can see it a bit more clearly, is my reduced one. So this is now the correct size for my drawing. Okay, all right, it's not a shading competition. So this is what I'm now working off. Key thing I need to know is the size of the edge. So there we go. Don't really care what it is. I have it now. Right, so let's come over here. This drawing, I'm guessing is, I want to leave myself around 160 high for it. Make sure we're still in the shot here. So I'll put my XY line here. Okay, that's XY. And of course, it wasn't the best idea I've ever had, but what we'll do is, because I know it's 15 up, I really should have drawn this shape first, but it's never the end of the world. We'll just put that line 15 up. Okay, and we'll draw this. So just to remind you where that came from. I drew my XY line. I've now drawn a line up here where I can begin to start this one. All right, so let's pick a point to start it. There, looks good. That's the size of my drawing, so off we go. Let's mark this out. Okay, we can all see that. Okay, we'll just get those constructions in. And we'll use this to mark off the total necks. Now you want to get your halfway point on this one. I'm actually just going to do a cheeky little bit because that's my halfway point there. Ta-da! Pop it in, check it. That's not at all. Something slipped on me. Let's see what that is. Now if we have a slip like that, I'm just going to do a quick cross check and see, is my height right? Okay, we're not going to worry too much about that at this stage. So what we'll do is we can even check this quickly. That is, I can actually see that's 22 mils. So we'll pop our halfway point out there. Up we come. And again, we'll find the top of this by just coming up on each side. Put that in there because any small little errors will carry in that. You see there's a tiny little one on my side. We'll just make sure we pick one that's kind of the average of them, and off we go. Okay, there's our shape. Right, down 15. So from the edges, just drop a little construction line down there and there. And we're going to go out 15. One outside, and that's the other outside. Construction line up and up. Okay, what do we know next? So, gone out 15, these go on up, and it's up 15. That's not so bad. So let's just make a little mark here. From the top of that equilateral triangle, we're going to go up 15. Little construction line across, and now we have it. Okay, so just heavy in these outside lines so you can see where it's going. Right, find the center of that. Well, the center should be this, but like I said, with all these different bits and pieces, it is easy for little slips to come in. So before I lash in and get excited and draw it, we are actually going to just double check that is in fact the center. That is pretty good, and that'll do a trick. Okay, and you can just do a tiny adjustment if you need to. I wouldn't worry about going bisecting this or anything. Now, we need to come up from here. There we are. And we have a little shape on the top here. See the way it's sort of a half hexagon? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up with these angles, and I'm going to come up there and I'll find the total side of it and it'll all come together. So we'll come up at our angles, which are of course 60 degrees. Because it's a hexagon. And then we'll come up from the edge here to get the size. There it is there. And across 2 meters. I just throw it in as construction to make sure it all lines up. And there we go. Okay, tiny bit out on the left hand side, so we're just going to, and you can actually see I stepped across a bit there. So okay, no harm, just take a little moment to get these in as constructions, and you'll know you have a nice tidy final drawing. And that's the only bit we need. Okay, whew, right, so we are now 14 minutes in. That's actually slightly longer than usual setting up, but if you can do this one, you can do pretty much any of them. So now we're into our standard just kind of rotate it. And you can see there's not actually that many parts, so we should be able to rotate this fairly nicely and stay on time. All right, well, let's give ourselves a little 20mm gap. There it is there. And we drop this down. So that is our original. That's what it looked like initially in plan. It's like a sign. It's going to turn this way. Now we're going to rotate it. So we'll just throw a construction line in for the moment, 45, and let's get that rotation. There we go. Now, this is the point loads of people forget and give away easy marks and so on. Our convention for this is to show it as a heavy dashed line that is a specific length, so it's going to end where the real one would end. Okay, this probably takes me a couple of seconds, stops there. And again, you have a whole lot of marks for that, usually about 4 marks out of 70, so don't give up those little small easy marks. Now that we have ourselves set up on this, we're just going to readjust the page so we can see what's going on. Okay, well, this is of course my preferred method because it's harder to screw up. So we'll come across here and we'll just begin to figure out where this guy's fitting. Alright, loads of space, going to fit nicely in there. So we might as well get the easy bits in so we can see where it's all going to go. We're much more likely to catch a mistake. So this is the kind of rectangular base of it. All right, there's only a couple of points here, so I may as well bring these across. Now, I find if you project everything in one go, you'll get lost in the lines. So just go kind of shape by shape. So let's go and take our hexagon friend first. So I'm going to do them in pairs. This is kind of useful. We'll see when we use these lines later on. There you go, across there. A little tiny line just to make sure you're accurate. There we go. Now, that's 2 of them. Send these across. I find pairs is kind of the optimal. 1 by 1 is a bit tedious, but if I was to bring all 6 points, I'm just increasing the chance I'm going to make a small mistake. I'm going to have to waste time figuring out what went wrong. There we go. Bring them all up there because I'm going to use them for these 2 points too. So we'll put a little dot there and there. And that's of course these 2 guys here, so we'll send that across. And it's this point here and this point here. Okay, now next let's get these guys done. And this is going to be handy because I'm actually going to get 4 for the price of 2. Because these lines will cover both the top and the bottom ones. And send these across. So you get yourself into a nice little rhythm. Very important the lines are straight. It's all about your T-square being lined up on the page, which is just off camera, but again, just pull it across and it lines itself up. So we send these guys up here. Keeping an eye that things look symmetrical. Again, you'll often catch a small error like that. And with these ones coming across the bottom, that line's already there. So I can draw that in. And bring the top bit across. That's those guys there and there. Okay, and actually I'm kind of realizing these are in the same line too. So I'll bring this line across. Look at that, 6 for the price of 2. Fabulous deal. There and there. So now that we have those, I'm going to draw that in. Again, once I solve a shape, I like to draw it. Less you'll catch any errors and less chance of mixing it up with another shape if they do overlap. So the shape will change. It's no longer a regular hexagon, but it'll change evenly. So this line and this line are parallel. So again, if you see any of them not being parallel, that's a little warning sign something's gone on. Okay, well I got 2 of these, so I may as well get the last one. Let's bring that down there. And there's a little triangle. Right, all looking pretty good. So this stage, we're at 20 minutes, so we're actually quite comfortable on time. If I was feeling a bit rushed and I was running out of time, I would start dividing the circle up and projecting everything. You will get a lot of marks for the projection. But I'm not under time pressure, so I'll get this little guy in here first. I have these 2 points already, and let's see. Oh, look at that. It's just the gift that keeps on giving. I said 4 for the price of 2, then was 6 for the price of 2. Now look, it was actually 8. So we can extend these guys up here. And bring them across, and we pretty much have this. There and there. Off we go. Okay, oh, forgot that little guy. It's fine. We don't even need to project that. That's just straight up from the tip of the triangle. Now we're over to this guy. Okay, so how we're going to do this? Basically, we're going to divide it up. We're going to use our little pizza slices, bring each of those points across, and off we go. So there we are. Of course, these lines have nearly gotten them for us. There we go, put that out there. Keep turning. And up here. And don't forget, of course, the one at the very top. So those are our points along here. And that's what we're going to bring across. Just like before, I'm going to bring them in pairs. You see they line up quite nicely. Now some of them I actually will already have. Look, there's the center line. Let's put that in place. So I've really only got 4 left to do. Okay, going to start somewhere. So let's bring these 2 guys down. They're on the same horizontal line. So it'll be nice and easy to work with. We'll be straight across there. We'll actually just extend that line slightly because I'll need it the whole way. So at this point here, it's going to come down, going to rotate, across and up until it meets the line that came across. Well, let's get rotating. Now, that's just annoyingly small. If you can do this, happy days. Okay. If you can't, measure it. All right. So along we go. Now, when I say measure it, there's 2 ways to measure that. One would be to copy the distance here, because it's going to be symmetrical. So I can see that's about 3.5 mil in, and I can apply that distance there. The other is to copy the distance here to here, and apply it onto the dotted line there. Either of those 2 will work. There's the 2 points. 2 left to go. At this stage, you can see it's getting pretty crowded. This is where we're glad our lines are nice and neat. Pencils are sharp and they're only light construction lines. There we are. And there we are. And for me, it was fairly easy to find them because they're the only lines with something that wasn't coming off them. Again, same here. Look, there it is. That must be it. And it's there. Okay, across we go. And it's quite clearly these 2 bits here. At this stage, we're going to sketch it in just like we do in an ellipse. It actually is an ellipse. That's what happens. That's what you get when you turn a circle. Try and get as nice and neatly as you can. I always find that angle quite hard to draw. So light at first, round we go. And you can bring it in a bit heavier. Okay, so there we have it. 25 minutes. Make sure you're always writing down your time. And again, that was tricky. This part is quite difficult. It had an unusual start. Usually you'll be enough to get the outer bits going and then worry about this afterwards. This one did make us sink a bit. But even with that, I wasn't rushing, wasn't going mad on it. I just knew what I was doing and actually was able to finish it quite comfortably within the time we need. All right, best of luck, guys.